Alright, so now let's get started with our application. So first let's open up VS Code. So here we are just going to start a new project. So I'm going to click on this and then go on command palette. Then here, if you don't see this new project, you can just type Flutter up here. Then you can pick this new project. Okay, so I'm just going ahead and then click this default application test, and then now I'm going to pick the location where I'm going to save my application. So this is my location where I save all my projects. So I'm just going to select the same folder. Then we have to give our application a name. So this one I'm going to name it as Flutter Chat Pro. Yeah, I'm gonna give it that name. Then I'm gonna click enter. So the application has been created. We can close all this. So this is our default application. Now we just need to test it. So to test it, we need to run in our emulator. So let's open up on devices here. So if you don't have any emulators here created, let me show you how to create one before we open it up. Let's close that. So we need to open Android Studio. So also Android Studio is a requirement. You need to have installed Android Studio in your system. Whether you are on a Mac or on Windows, you need to install Android Studio, and also you need to install Java. Okay, so let's open up our Android Studio. Here is my Android Studio open up. I need to open this same application that I've just created here. It doesn't need to be like that. I can either open any of this here, but let me just open what we have created here. Okay, so I'm going to click on open, and then I'll navigate to where the application is, which is this folder that I'm already in. Okay, so now I'm just gonna click that new application, which is Flutter Chat Pro, and then I'm gonna open. So here is Android Studio open on my other monitor. Let me maximize this. So the application is also open in Android Studio. Let's close that and close that. Okay, so now let's see how we create these two emulators that I have in VS Code. So all you have to do is you need to click on device manager, and then so these are the two emulators that you saw in my VS Code. So here all I need to do is if I need to create a new device, I need to click on create, and then from here I can pick the phone that I want to use as an emulator. So for my case, I picked the Pixel 5 and the 6, which are these devices that you can see here. Okay, so you can go ahead and pick whatever you want. For example, if I pick another Pixel 6, then I'll click next. Then here I need to select the operating system that I need to use here. So if you don't have any of them downloaded, you need to click the download sign here. Okay, so after you download, it will be available like these two that I downloaded, and then you just pick one and then click next, and then from here you can either give it a name or leave it as a default like that. And then now here you do show advanced. You can change this you can change whatever you want here. For example, what I'm most interested in is to change this to hardware, not automatic. And then also here you can also give it the bigger RAM and then also the bigger storage. You can just change these figures, and once you put whatever you like here, you just click finish. Once it's finished, it's going to go ahead and come up here on the list. So I'm not going to create because I already have two, so let me cancel this. So So that's how you create the emulators, and then you can use them either in VS Code or in this same Android Studio. So but in this course we're not going to use Android Studio, so I'm just gonna go ahead and just close this Android Studio here. You can either code in Android Studio, because even Android Studio has got access to Copilot, which is what we are going to use in this code, or the way we are going to be coding while Copilot is on for faster coding, and then so that you guys can also see how quick it is, how it help us effectively to code faster, and it makes just things easier. Okay, so Android Studio also has Copilot. As you can see, there's a sign here which shows that it's turned on, but we are not going to use Android Studio. We are going to use VS Code. For other people who doesn't have Copilot, the subscription of Copilot, there is the other alternatives like Kodi. I'm not sure if Android Studio also has Kodi, but there is an extension in VS Code. I'm not really sure about Android Studio, but if you have a Copilot subscription, you can either use Android Studio or VS Code, but I myself prefer to use VS Code. So I'm just gonna close Android Studio here, because I've showed you that's where we make the emulators. Okay, so I'm going to close Android Studio here. Let's exit, and then we are going to continue in our VS Code. So let's open up that emulator again. So here it is. I'm going to pick the Pixel 5. So the emulator is working. Now we can go ahead and test our basic application here. So let's click here and then let's run it. So the first time it runs, it takes a bit of a time, so let's just wait for it. So our application is running. You can see this is a demo app. We can test it like that. It's working. Okay, so let's minimize that, and also let's just reduce the size of this emulator. At least like that, it's much better. So now let's go over through this. First, let me show you how we enable the Copilot in VS Code, and then we'll go back to Android Studio and also see how we can install it. Okay, so here when we come back here on the extensions here, okay, click on the extensions. You can see that I have a Copilot enabled. There is a Copilot and also Git Copilot chat. So this the icons that you see, I'm using this VS Code icon, and then I have Dart and Flutter installed. Okay, which is also the prerequisite for this course. You must at least have Flutter and Dart already installed in your IDE. Okay, so you must, if you haven't installed Flutter and Dart, you wouldn't have made it this far up to here. So first you have to install Flutter and Dart, and then that's when you make the application, and then you come here to the extension. That's when up here you can search for Copilot here. Okay, you can search for Copilot. So here, once you find it, you can just pick this one and then enable. For myself, it's already enabled, and then it will only work if you go to your GitHub account and then pay for the subscription. It's about $100 a year, which is if you pay per month, I'm not sure if it's, I think it's $10 per month. Yeah, so if you subscribe for a year, it's $100. So you can get these two and then enable them. Okay, so once you do that, the Copilot icon here, it will show up, and then we are going to code with it. Okay, so let's close that, and then let's go back. So while we are here, we can also open up Android Studio again just to see how we enable Copilot in there. But before we go there, let's go back to the extension and then let me show you the other alternative. So the alternative, if you don't have a subscription for Copilot, you can search for Cody. So this one here. So this one is also an AI assistant. So this one you can also install, and then it will come up this side with like it's showing here. So this one I've never tried it, but I've seen some, I've read through it, I've seen it works almost the same like Copilot. So if you don't have a Copilot subscription, you can also install this Cody AI, and then you will be able to code the same way we'll be coding here with Copilot. Okay, so now let's open up Android Studio and see how we install Copilot. So I'm going to open it up here. Okay, Android Studio is open, and then we are going to go, let's close that first. So once it's open, we are going to go on Tools and then SDK Manager, and then here we are going to search for, let's go to Plugins. We can move the emulator this side, and then here that's when we can search for plugins. Okay, so for Copilot we can come up here and also search for Copilot. So you can see here is Copilot, which is already installed in my case, that's why it's here. And then maybe let's check if we can also install Cody in Android Studio. So let's search for Cody. Don't know why. Let's search for Cody. So I don't think we have Cody in Android Studio, but there might be other alternative maybe. So for Android Studio, I'm not sure which alternative you can use if you don't have Copilot. Okay, but for VS Code we have Cody. So that's it about Android Studio. Let's close it again, then let's close it. Now we have a test app working, and then we have we know now how to enable our Copilot. So in the next video we are going to start working with our application. Thank you guys, and see you in the next video.